Hey, everybody, it's Dave Cooper, davecooper.live, and we have a wonderful show for you today. And as you can see, well, it's that way. Sitting next to me is Betsy Scott from the Housing Innovation Alliance. How are you today, Betsy?
Good. How are you doing, Dave?
Man, I'm telling you what, I'm so excited for this. I think this is going to be such a great presentation. We had the opportunity to go out to Austin, Texas a few weeks ago and spend some time out there on this whole community and get to meet the people, the developers, everybody. And now we get an opportunity to share it with the world.
Yeah, it was a really great visit. It was great to be out of the office and out in the field again, and some really good stories and good to see innovation up close and personal. So excited to share some of what we saw there and get some more insights from Douglas and John today as well.
Yeah, I mean, Douglas and John, I mean, they're two amazing people, and we can't wait to bring those two into the show here today. Listen, Betsy, why don't you give us a rundown? This is a lead up to a much bigger event. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that event is, and we'll put the information up on the screen so people can join you in that event.
Okay, great. Yes, this is actually our keynote for our Innovation Summit that's coming up in November. It's the 10th and the 11th of November, and we are focused on the future of home delivery, really looking to see what builders and developers need to be doing, whether it's single family, multifamily, for build or for rent, moving forward in their businesses from a business model perspective, consumer values, and then certainly the home delivery process. So we look at it holistically, and we try before we get into that event to give kind of an example, a shining example of a company and really what they're doing to look at the future of home delivery in their own business. So that's what we're doing today with Douglas, is to give you kind of that higher level vision. And then in a few weeks, we'll gather everybody together for 2 days of programming. Douglas will come back and be part of an expert panel with some other really impressive people from McKinsey and Zonda and Ram Real Estate Capital, giving their collective visions of what the future of home delivery looks like before we dig more deeply into some of the sub areas that we're looking like customer experience and engagement, digitization, and then also looking at build to rent and industrializing the construction process. So that'll be in a couple weeks, and this is kind of how is Taurus looking at it to give you their framework and some food for thought before we dig in at that level.
Yeah, for sure. And to join that event, it's in the ticker below, and some people will be putting it in the comment sections as well, so you don't have to write all that stuff down there. We'll make it easier for you. All right. So if you're just joining us, we are live on 3 locations: LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So please hit that like button and share this video right now if you don't mind. We want to get it out to as many people as we can get to, because we are looking at things differently these days, aren't we, Betsy?
We absolutely are. I think we're at a time where innovation is needed now more than it has ever been, and there's some really cool things going on in the industry. So we're all about sharing what's happening and kind of discussing what we can do to help each other move in that direction.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I think this would be a good time. Why don't we bring Douglas Gilliland in with us from Taurus Investment? Betsy, I'm gonna pull you off the screen here in a few moments, but let's bring Douglas in and say hi real quick. Hey, Douglas, how are you today?
Dave, I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here with you and Betsy. Welcome to Whisper Valley.
Yeah.
Hi
Hey,
again.
we love it. We love Whisper Valley. I had so much fun out there. I kept telling my family, I said, we're moving. That's it. I'm done. No more utility bills for this guy. Moving on.
We'd love to have you here.
Yeah, well, I'd love to be there. All right. So listen, why don't we hop into this, Douglas? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how we ended up at Whisper Valley?
Sure. Well, I'm a second generation planned community developer. Originally from Colorado, I'm now enjoying Austin, Texas. It's a great place to be if you're in the land development business. My company is Taurus of Texas, and I'm what's known as a local partner here in the Texas area for Taurus Investment Holdings. And Taurus is a global real estate investment group. We're active in the United States, Western Europe, Asia, South America. We make strategic investments in development opportunities. To date, we've purchased over 40 million square feet of commercial, industrial, residential. We're in a number of asset categories. We've sold a total of about $6.5 billion in real estate. And so it's a very successful group. We're very excited about what we do in the land development business, and hopefully we're going to talk about examples of that today.
Yeah, well, I mean, for sure. We got a big example to talk about it and what you guys have done at Whisper Valley, which is so exciting to talk about. And I know I'm looking forward to, having John Towle also join us from EcoSmart Solution here in a little bit. So everybody, we have a lot of moving parts today. We got great speakers on. We're going to have presentations. We're going to have video. So there's a lot happening. I think this would be a good time. Why don't we jump into the presentation, Douglas?
Sure. So let's go to the first slide. What I want to share with you is our philosophy about community development and the future of community development from our perspective. And I think what you're going to see is unique, that is unique today, is you're going to hear from my perspective as a developer, but you're also going to hear from the perspective of builders, of home buyers. You're going to hear it from people that can tell you what it's like to live and to work in a community like this. So we're going to talk about the principles that we believe in at Taurus Investment Holdings and the principles that went into this community. So Betsy, why don't we change slides? So we just talked a little bit about Taurus Investment Holdings. As I said, if you want to go to the next slide, we'll talk about some of these principles. What we try to do, and the way we see the future of land development, is that we need to combine a number of different concepts, and the ones that we really focus on here and that you'll be hearing about today is sustainability, technology, healthy living, and affordability. We think we have to blend all of these together to really deliver the community of the future. Go ahead, Betsy. So as we talk about the features of Whisper Valley and we talk about these principles, as we talk about healthy living, consumers more than ever want to live in a healthy community. And so we'll be talking about such things as organic farming, fitness, trails, community gatherings. We'll be talking about technology and the importance of that. Developments, in particular technology that we're putting into our development infrastructure as well as technology in the homes. And you're going to have a very special opportunity to hear about perhaps our greatest innovation, which is EcoSmart, and our commitment to sustainable development principles. And you'll be hearing about how we're able to produce zero energy capable homes. And this is really exciting because we've collaborated with EcoSmart to bring together a number of technologies that really make this community unique. And we'll touch on Whisper Valley in Austin, Texas. Many of you know that Austin is one of the strongest, most vibrant markets in the country. So we'll be giving you a little bit of insight into the Austin market. Go ahead, Betsy. So for those of you who may not be familiar with Austin, we're in central Texas. It's one of the fastest growing communities in the country. And the growth direction of Austin is going east. Historically, it went west, but transportation is a big issue. Proximity to the city is a big issue. So a lot of that new growth is coming to the east. Whisper Valley sits right on a bypass highway called SH-130. We're about 20 minutes from downtown, the central business district. We're close to the airport, about 10 minutes away, and close to the technology corridor. And what we're really excited about right now is that we're about 5 minutes away from the new Tesla Gigafactory factory that's under construction right now. This is going to bring billions of dollars of investment, about initially 5,000 workers to Austin. So what was already an outstanding market is now even stronger because of the commitment that Tesla has made. Go ahead, Betsy. So talking about Whisper Valley as a community, just to put it into perspective, this is a 2,000-acre community. It's a planned unit development, so we're entitled for a number of different uses in the land. We have about 7,500 housing units that we're entitled for. About 5,000 of those are for single-family residences, and about 2,500 are for different types of multifamily. And we'll be talking a little bit about that. That's a strong market that's getting stronger in this area. It's a complete planned community. We have school sites. We have a transportation hub that we're committed to regional transportation. We have about 2 million square feet of services. So this is a small town. So this is a live-work type of environment. And one of the really great features is we've committed about 1/3 of the land in Whisper Valley to open space, which is a very important part of our fundamental branding. So we have about 700 acres of open space, of which about 600 is public open space, and about another 100 acres is private open space managed by our community association. Go ahead, Betsy. So where are we right now in Whisper Valley? We've actively been developing since about 2016. We are in the first of 7 villages. Each village has about 1,000 homes. So the first village, we have over 200 homeowners now. We're in the process of building homes in our second phase, which is 256 lots. Our third and fourth phase is currently going through the city entitlement process. We're also planning an area for build to rent, which we're finding is a very important niche of the market. And we're also planning for the future with a little bit larger lots that will be in the 60-foot and 70-foot range. And we're also planning our first apartment program. So one of the things that you'll see that we're doing is a diversification of product. We have a lot of different lifestyles, a lot of different lot sizes, a lot of different options, all integrated in what we call a cluster density. So we have a lot of products. Typically they're a little bit smaller. That's how we retain our affordability. But we offer, as you can see from the first village, lots of open space. We want our families to be active and participating in the outdoors. Go ahead, Betsy.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, quite, amazing space. And Doug, I have to tell you, being there and what you guys have going on as far as the outdoors, the community, the open space, and all of that, it's going to be a lot of fun getting into this. So why don't we hop in and listen to what one of the homeowners had to say?
Great.
Like, why Whisper Valley? What attracted you to this community?
Sure. Well, my husband and I were relocating from Boston, and we were hoping to get to Texas. And when we were looking at Austin, we were really looking for kind of this magic combo of things. Affordability was important to us. And when we found Whisper Valley with the big emphasis on sustainability and technology-enabled living, we were pretty sold pretty quick.
Yeah.
It was, an exciting community, a new community. The geothermal system was a big selling point for us. It's something we've been interested in for a while, and certainly something that would have been too costly for us to retrofit an older home.
Yeah. So with that said, I mean, this is definitely big picture. Let me bring Betsy in as well so she can hear us as we're going through this. But, Douglas, we had the opportunity to speak to so many of these homeowners and what have you, and what they're saying and what they're looking for is so valuable and so true. And that's why, with Betsy and the Housing Innovation Alliance, it's so important to show and have these testimonials of people, because this is real stuff, unedited. I think that's what's absolutely wonderful about this, for sure. Oh, you're muted, Betsy.
Dave, it is good to have these testimonials, and what you would find is that there's just a tremendous interest from all different demographic groups, and we'll hear from some of those today.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, well, listen, thanks again for the intro on what we're going to get into today. Betsy, why don't you tell us what you think?
Well, this is one of the most comprehensive interviews I think we've ever done. It was great to be able to go out to Whisper Valley. And I think it's really important when you're looking back at and trying to learn things from programs like this, to talk to all of the players. And it was very helpful, the Whisper Valley team connecting us with the builders and the homeowners, and then also, of course, Douglas and John being the two sides of the coin from the developer and the technology perspective, gave us a really looking at the project in the area from all different sides, which I found was incredibly valuable. But before we dig any deeper, I just wanted to ask you a quick question, Douglas. There's a lot of stuff that you're going to share today. John's going to jump on and share things. We're going to share some additional videos. But what are the top 3 things that you want people to walk away?
That's a good question, Betsy. There's a lot that we're going to be talking about. But what I would like for your audience to maybe think about a little bit more is, number one, we have to work together to do the communities of the future. The developer has to become more involved with the builders. The builders have to become more involved with the developer in ways that are not traditional. What you'll learn today is that we're actually bringing the infrastructure into the homes in order to make the homes more efficient. This is a new working relationship between developers and builders. So I would like the developers in the audience and the builders in the audience to start thinking more of integrating their activities as opposed to those being separate activities. The second thing I'd like for folks to think about is this is a great example where capitalism meets environmentalism. And if you think about the history of land development, oftentimes you see developers not as concerned about the environment, wanting to do things, but the cost of doing things environmentally are difficult. You find environmentalists that try to stop the development process. They don't feel like it's really treating the earth correctly. What we found here at Whisper is that we can actually bring capitalism together into environmentalism with sustainable principles. I will tell you that our investors are very pleased with the investment that they're making. Many of our investors have a social conscience to their investments, and they're finding that they can be fulfilled here in Whisper. And the last thing I'd like for people to think about, especially in the housing industry, is that the earth needs our help. The whole movement globally is to move away from this carbon-based society into a renewable society. And this is not an easy transition. There's a lot of debate and discussion going on right now about how this can be done. My message to other developers and builders is that we can create a great lifestyle for families to live in, and at the same time we can be a great friend to the earth. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's so much to learn from everything we're doing here. So listen to everybody. If you are just joining us right now, we are live on 3 locations, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Please hit that like button. And if you have questions, we are going to get to some comments and questions later down the road here as we get through some of this presentation. So please use that comment section to ask us any questions at any time, and we will do our best to get to everybody on this. So thank you so much for joining us again today. We really appreciate you tuning in. All right, so I guess we're moving on. This is a chance for us to actually bring in John Towle, it sounds like, Betsy. What do you think?
Absolutely. Bring in John and the tech smarts to the conversation.
Yeah. So, John, thank you so much for joining us and being part of this today. Really do appreciate you and your partnership that you have with Taurus, and EcoSmart Solution has done an amazing thing out there. It's actually incredible. So I think it would be really great to hear a little bit about your story, your background, if you could take a few minutes and kind of give us the rundown of how you got from point A to point B.
Sure thing. And I thank you for having me. And I will tell you that there's nothing more exciting than seeing this happening on the ground in Whisper Valley. It's kind of, it makes you think differently about how development can happen. So I started with a background in environmental planning and design, and started doing traditional subdivision site plan work for small, medium, and large, and very large residential communities. At a certain point, I had the opportunity to take that into a large national home builder. I worked running operations for a big division of one of the big national production builders for many years. And I think what that helped me do is really get an understanding about how something like this needs to work with a builder. Builders do certain things really, really well. I realize what their motivations are, their strengths, and where maybe their needs are and how their needs can be met. During that time, I really had a great opportunity to be involved in the land development phase. So working on entitlement and development really helped me understand how complex it can be, and the things that need to be addressed in order to bring technology like this into a community at the infrastructure stage during land development. It starts years in advance. I spent close to the last 10 years of my career helping start and certainly growing to a massive scale a very large solar developer and EPC. Working within renewable energy really gave me the excitement to try to wrap up everything that I was doing in my background, from land planning and construction, land development, renewables, bringing that to bear here. So it's helped me not only really understand the value of bringing renewable energy to land development, but really it helped me form the way that EcoSmart needs to interact with our three main stakeholders. We have three customers in every opportunity. It's the land developer, in this case it's Taurus at Whisper Valley, and it's the builders, but ultimately it's the homeowners. So we've got three customers to satisfy. And as you'll hear a little bit about in a few minutes here, the big part of our success and the reason we're so easy to adopt is because we have processes put in place that just help us just fold right into what the builders and developers need to do.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So listen, I think it's great, Betsy. We have a slide deck presentation. Should we put that up? Perfect. Good. John, so if you want to start walking us through some of your presentation here and what you have, and then we're going to get to some questions from the audience. Sure
thing. So EcoSmart is, if you want to look at it, the green energy services provider for the community. So we are creating this, in some ways innovative, in some ways traditional platform of energy services, energy efficiency programs, and energy production programs all into one package that are really literally enabling the developer not only to develop a net zero community, but every single homeowner who ends up buying a home has a net zero capable home. So there's a big difference, and I'm sure the builders and developers, or maybe especially the builders out there, can really understand there's a difference between building a community that could just be attached to a big renewable energy plant somehow and qualify as net zero, and truly building every single home so that it is capable of being net zero. And that's what we've accomplished here at Whisper Valley. Yeah. So there's a couple of main components, and I won't read off the slide here, but a couple of main components that that make this platform work. It's the most highly efficient HVAC system out there is ground source heat pumps attached to geothermal. There's nothing more efficient. So what we do is we package the backbone of our system being this geothermal with heat pumps in the homes, and we design very carefully the size of the HVAC system based on what the loads are going to be for heating and cooling. We then, in the background, custom design solar systems that are packaged and specifically sized to offset the majority of the rest of the consumption that the homes will still have. We package it all together with some smart technologies and some of the smart thermostats and monitoring capabilities. And then really the kind of the coolest thing about what we've developed is we're monitoring the entire platform. So we're able to see not only how the infrastructure is performing, but how each individual home's HVAC is performing. the solar system is producing the energy behavior in the home. So we've pulled this all together into one package and made it very easy for the builders to adopt.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a couple of other optional things we'll talk about a little bit later. You know, the EV chargers and energy storage are other things that we do. And again, we do those in such a way as to make this completely seamless for the builder and the buyer, not having to go after market and look for things here and there.
Yeah. If I could ask you a question. So there's a number of builders in the Alliance that are part of the Department of Energy Zero Energy Ready Home program. Can you clarify what you mean by zero energy capable?
Sure thing. There's a lot of, well, in some ways there's a lot of, and in some cases there's really no definition around what is really zero energy. So what EcoSmart has done is we've gone way beyond the zero energy ready home. A zero energy ready home is doing a bunch of great things for the future. It's getting the house ready to accept a renewable energy source, for example, solar. It's getting the house designed to a certain standard, which of efficiency and design and insulation and whatnot. We've gone a step beyond that. We are actually building the homes, and we're actually helping the builders at Whisper Valley build the homes that are not just zero energy ready, but they're zero energy capable. They're capable of being zero energy from the day the homes close. So we've not only made the homes ready to accommodate zero energy features, but we're actually building them with zero energy features in them. So there are big differences. So instead of being ready for a solar system, everyone is already attached to the solar system. Instead of being capable of being low efficiency or high efficiency, low energy use, we're actually building them that way. And that's specified into our package right up front.
Yeah. So with that said, just to kind of clarify, in other words, with the homes being net zero capable, that means if I live in my home properly and I take the right steps to be energy efficient and don't leave my windows open with air conditioning running and 110 degrees weather in Texas, I have an energy zero home.
So there's a couple of things that always need to be kept in mind. One is when you look at an energy efficient home, it could be a HERS rating, a home energy rating system, could be a HERS rating of 65 or 70. And be pretty efficient and packaged with a big solar platform, then yeah, that home could get down to net zero. The way that we're designing the homes with geothermal standard in the neighborhood, done as part of the infrastructure, matched with a properly sized ground source heat pump, then carefully matched with a custom sized solar system, these homes are targeted to be a maximum of a 25 HERS rating. It's really very unusual to see that on individual homes. And now we're seeing homes that are well below that, down into the low and mid-teens HERS ratings. But part of our zero energy capable definition in our program is not only making these homes ready and actually operating as zero energy, but already with a very low HERS rating to start with. Now, one other factor is it does depend, like you said, on energy behavior. So a big part of what we do at Whisper Valley and a big part of what we do elsewhere is inform ultimately that consumer about what is good energy behavior. So in Austin, there's a platform called Austin Energy Green Build, and they provide a fantastic set of suggestions. Here's how you operate your home, and here's the way you become energy efficient. It just doesn't happen automatically. You have to be operating, living, and behaving in the home the way that it's designed in order to be able to get that zero energy efficiency.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. So thanks. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No problem. And interrupt at any point. So as I said before, so the infrastructure we talk about, you'll hear us kind of using interchangeably geogrid, loops, heating and cooling districts. They're all the same thing to us. We are building the infrastructure in upfront. It's a combination of a horizontal exchange loop and vertical boreholes on every home. We're doing it in such a way that there's a lot of resilience among all the homes. They're sharing a geothermal resource, yet they're sized for the worst possible condition. I mentioned that using geothermal and ground source heat pumps on its own can reduce your consumption by 60, 70 or more %. And this is well known. The key is the way that we're doing it is bringing it down to an affordable level, because we're creating this as an infrastructure upfront. EcoSmart is coming into the communities. We are financing and creating that community infrastructure, and then we're working very closely to match it up with the rest of the components, the heat pump and the solar and everything else, to provide that total efficiency package. In the case of the builder, the worst, just jump back for a second, in case of the builder, the worst thing for them is they need to work carefully with EcoSmart and our engineers to make sure that we're replacing the conventional or the traditional HVAC system with the ground source heat pump. We've found, and I think you heard, hopefully you heard when you were down at Whisper Valley talking to builders and a developer, that it's actually been a very seamless process. So we've been able to come in and just really literally hold the hand of all the professionals and just end up with a system that is just, okay, we're not going to do conventional, we're going to do geothermal. And it's been a neat transition.
Okay.
So I mentioned before, there's a lot of places doing solar. I came from 10 years of doing solar myself, and solar is great no matter where it's done. All right, it's hard to argue renewable energy is not a positive, but renewable energy and solar done well is what we're doing. We bring a lot of solar experience, a lot of building experience together here. What we're doing is we're making it so that each home, each elevation, each location, which way the house is oriented, every one of those gets calculated upfront and a solar system designed accordingly. So builder does nothing for that. All they do is they make sure that when it's designed and it's permitted, that it gets built properly. We're there to help them every step of the way, but we don't expect the builders to be solar experts, and we don't expect the homeowners to have to go out after they purchase their home and go out and purchase a solar system. So we're doing it upfront and very carefully designed, approved, and all the commissioning standards and the specifications all worked out. So, and again, just to repeat, the basic premise is using that very highly efficient HVAC system brings your load down, or your demand, your consumption way down, and then we're pairing it with the solar system intended to offset the majority of the rest of the spend there. I'd like to say that every home being built today needs to be a smart home, right? It's kind of a buzzword. There's not a lot of excitement just talking about smart homes on their own, because every home being built today has got to have some smart home technology in it. But what we're doing is we're making some of the products that we and we'll talk about on the next slide here more, but we're taking some of the products that we are providing, the heat pump and the solar and the smart thermostats and the Google products, and we're making them really, really comprehensive, easy for the homeowner to understand their behavior, easy for them to understand exactly what it is they're doing and what the system is doing for them. And really, more importantly, you can go to the next slide, please. More importantly, it's allowing EcoSmart to now monitor the entire platform. We're monitoring the entire, called the geothermal ecosystem. So it's the energy center, it's the major heat pumps we have moving water throughout the shared resource. It's the individual heat pumps in the homes. We know how they're all performing. We know how to optimize them. We can give suggestions to every homeowner about how to improve their own behavior. We're monitoring how the solar system is doing, of course. That's not anything special, but we're doing that along with monitoring what the consumption in the home is. So we're actually able to see how the home's performing, how the customer's behavior, the homeowner's behavior is helping drive their energy bills up or down. And you'll hear people, again, hopefully you heard this already, but people are proud to walk around and say, look, I have $5 energy bill this past month. Look what I did. I'm actually doing this month after month after month. We're really living it. So the platform we pulled together is one thing that's just incredibly, it's a huge differentiator. It's not just building an HVAC system. It's not just building a solar system, not just building infrastructure. We are monitoring and compiling and reporting on exactly how the entire ecosystem is doing. It's pretty neat stuff.
Wow.
And there are a couple of other things that we do. We I might have mentioned earlier, we pre-wire every home for EV. EVs, everybody knows that they're increasing in popularity. They're going to increase in popularity. Technology doesn't turn around and go backwards, right? It's going to increase. It's going to continue to increase. There's, it'll reach a tipping point where sooner or later everybody drives an EV. Okay, so we're getting these homes of the future ready today. Even if somebody doesn't have a plan today to buy an EV, we're making it so that it's very simple for just to hook up later on and be done. So every home comes pre-wired and ready for it. We actually have this energy storage option. People refer to them as battery storage or home batteries. Now this is really cool. So we have them operating there. So it's an upgrade. It's an option. Not everybody wants it today. More and more people want it as time moves on. What that does is it gives you a couple things. It gives you the ability to create and store your own energy in your own house to charge your own EV, for example. It gives you the ability to create and store your own energy to give you resilience during outage. So power goes out, I can use my battery till it runs out. During the day, solar is charging my battery. At night, it's discharging my battery. It's really neat stuff. And we're very excited to see this all being pulled together. And we've got a couple of fantastic partners we're working with in order to do this, and in order to do this at extremely competitive rates for the ultimate home buyers.
Yeah. So John, if I could, I want to jump in just so people understand. So this is almost acts like there's a backup generator if you lose power, but it also helps you it creates the energy from the solar of the day, stores that energy to help feed the energy of the house at night. Is that?
That's exactly right. With a flip of a switch, you'd never even know it flipped on. So it's really cool. We've been experimenting with homes and just watching this happen. And instead of, so like I said before, solar, no matter how it's done or no matter where it's done, is a positive. Or renewable energy is a positive. It's the way the world is going. There's no turning back from it. But it's really cool that instead of creating excess energy and sending it back to the grid and getting credited for it, you're creating excess energy and you're storing your own excess energy in your house and you're using it when you need it. It's a really cool concept and becoming more popular every day.
Yeah, it is super cool. In fact, let me put us back to the slides. I think this is a good place that we should bring Douglas back in as well. Hey, Douglas, thanks for joining us.
Back. Thank you.
Hey, if you could do me a favor when you lean forward, just watch your mics rubbing against the table. I think it's causing some paper shuffling sound. So, hey, this is live, if it can go wrong, it will. I told you, that's the way it goes. We just have to roll with the punches and keep going, so I love it. I mean, this whole thing, and let me go full screen in the partnership between yourself and John and I mean, this is a big undertaking. I mean, when I think of the massive scale of just the geothermal on this entire project, it's mind-blowing.
Well, it's the culmination, Dave, of years of work. The EcoSmart solution company, as John will tell you, is about 5 years old. And it's been a journey of education for me as a developer. I have to give a shout out to one of the real visionaries that helped us put this company together, a gentleman by the name of Gunther Reibling. Gunther is one of the original founders of EcoSmart, as well as one of my partners here in Whisper Valley. And Gunther left us this year. He has passed on. But a great team is helping this EcoSmart program evolve into a technology that is very easy for me as a developer to integrate. And having been in the business for over 40 years, I can tell you that this is the system of the future. I wouldn't develop another community without it.
Yeah, for sure. And John, I mean, I think this is a good place for you. All of this has to run on something. I mean, there's got to be some high level connectivity happening, right? So
yeah, well, yeah. Actually, one of the cool things about Whisper Valley is has Google Fiber there, which is pretty unusual, pretty expensive to have it put in. And I think that the way that I look at it is with people working from home with so many connected devices, and the expectation today and certainly going forward is faster and better internet is just standard. There's nothing groundbreaking about it. It's just expected anymore. So I think maybe Douglas might be best off describing how it was that Taurus, decided this was such an important thing to bring in the neighborhood. We love it because it really helps our entire monitoring platform, and it helps our homeowner satisfaction, which is extremely high. And we can't really take credit for that. We're gonna put that back to Douglas for describe how you came up with this.
Yeah.
Well, and I would tell you, Dave, that our high-speed internet access through Google is one of the top-rated benefits by our consumers, our homeowners here in Whisper. Technology has to be a part of the platform here in Whisper Valley. It helps us to have the super fast internet service, and as you know, more and more people are working at home, their lifestyles are changing, the education benefits, live streaming, Netflix, all of these things have a technology backbone. And when we did our partnership with Google to bring it here, one of the exciting things that they told us is the platform that we're enjoying today is just the beginning. As we move into the future, there'll be so many more products that are available into the home because of that technology backbone. So we're very committed to this part of our program.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, I was there. I don't know if anybody saw it, but we live streamed on location, and it was the cleanest, best video that I've ever put out. So I don't know if you and John can figure a way to get that run to my house here in Connecticut anytime soon, but I sure would welcome it.
The guys are on their way now. Just wait for them. They'll be there.
That's right.
Perfect.
We'll be in your neighborhood soon.
Yeah, love it.
Well,
all right.
Dave, before you queue up that other video, if we can all mute ourselves so it's clearer this time for everybody, that would be great.
Yeah, perfect. All right, we ready for that video? You guys want to hear from one of the builders? Let's do it. For sure. Let's hop into, like a lot of the trades that work on the projects. I know there's probably some learning curve even with the trades. And I would only imagine that they've really embraced this now that they have so many homes built and they're really understanding a lot more about the energy efficiency, building to a net zero standard.
Yeah, it's been really amazing, actually. So we build the same house or similar house in probably 8 different locations in Austin.
Okay.
And our build times from start to finish here are as low or lower than any of those other communities. So there's really no additional time. Now it did take us, it took us a couple of months to figure out how to schedule all that.
Right.
And because it is different and at different times, but very few of these things are critical path items. So for instance, the solar panels, you can put it on really in the last 6 weeks of the house. Right. So in fact, our best superintendent in Austin works in this community. He builds his houses as faster than anybody else.
I have my finger on the
I'm muting myself. Just the testimony itself. We heard from a customer, and now we're hearing from one of the builders. I think that it's amazing what's going on in this community, and I think this is really, really a big deal for those in the audience who we need to start paying attention to a little bit here. If you guys are up for that. Yes. All right, you got on. You mute yourself. You're pulling on me, Betsy. So listen. All right, we're gonna say hi to some people in the audience. Let's see who's out there joining us today. Let's see what kind of questions we have, and we're gonna get back into another part of the presentation once we get through this section of questions and answers. So just real quick, we're just gonna say a couple quick shout outs to some people. We got Andrew Seeley. Great topics today. All got to see Whisper Valley firsthand yesterday. Hey, there you go. Love the location and what is being done. So that is awesome. Thank you, Andrew, for that. Really do love it. All right, moving down the line here. We have Wendy Glavin. Are you doing anything with large apartment buildings in cities like New York City is a question.
Yes and no. So we are doing things with large apartment buildings and not right now in New York City, but we're looking for, are mostly involved in multifamily opportunities for new construction. So it's not to say that it can't be done in New York City. Geothermal as the backbone of the technology works in a vast majority of the country, but just the reality is it's best deployed on new construction. This particular technology best deployed on new construction. And so where that's happening, yeah, that opportunity is definitely there. We're pursuing it in a number of places, or being pursued in a number of places.
Yeah, perfect. And Wendy had a follow-up question as well.
Again, that's a great question, Wendy. So the answer is maybe, and the answer is it really depends. So a couple things happen with energy utilities. Some of them are there's state restrictions or state tariffs, statewide tariffs. Some of them are utility-wide tariffs. So it really depends. And one of the neat things that EcoSmart does for the developer and then does for the builder is takes the lead on all those conversations with the utilities to make sure that what we're doing is going to be a benefit to the utilities as well. This is not taking business away from the utilities. It's actually helping smooth their business. So we are right now not currently partnered with directly with the utility, but it's certainly something that utilities are involved in, they're aware of, and supportive of.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Wendy, joining us from YouTube today for that. John, let me ask, what else did from a process perspective are you guys doing to help builders adopt EcoSmart solution, right? Because this was a big undertaking. We're going to learn more about how you guys really had this whole thing set up for a wonderful collaboration with builders.
So I'd like to say that's actually a good question. I get asked that all the time. Every time that a developer is concerned about how it's going to be or how it may be perceived by the builders, but the answer to that is everything that we do is geared toward making this easy for our process to become the builder's process, or the builder's process to become our process. So I came from that background. I know how difficult it is to do new things, do innovative things for a builder. Builders don't want to hear that generally. They want to do what they do really, really well, right? Hire great subs, build great quality homes, have sales starts and closings happen on a cadence. They want to have no interruption to the business by hearing something about innovation or technology or changes. Our platform makes it such that it just folds right into what they're already doing. And it was great to hear the comments that you had there from Glenn Gee, and that's exactly what we're aiming for. We're aiming for no interruption in their process. So everything, and in fact, we hope that because we're so focused on the builder experience here, we're hopeful that we are reducing cycle time for them. Certainly reducing complexity for them. But I just do want to add that, so building in a community, a master plan community like Whisper Valley, and building within Austin, and building in a very advanced energy code environment, it's difficult. There's a lot of process that happen right from the architectural review to the HVAC review process. EcoSmart literally takes every bit of that and has it broken down into every little bitty step. We just hand it to the builder and say, do this, and we'll help you. We'll walk you right through. That's how I'd say that almost everything we're doing is really based on making things easy as possible for builders.
Yeah, for sure. And so what about, this was a question Betsy asked Douglas earlier, like, do you have any fail forwards, things that you would do differently, things that you would simplify or make changes on moving forward?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. This is innovation comes with, a little bit of a bleeding edge, right? So I'd like to say, yeah, there's probably three things I would point out that are fail forwards for me. And I love that expression. I've used that for years, both in people and process. But we learned one size doesn't fit all. We tried to start out simply and saying every single home type, house size that could fit on this size lot was going to cost X, is going to use this size heat pump, or whatever the case was. We realized it wasn't really nearly that simple. So what we've done is picked an incredible amount of work up on. So we picked up a lot of work on our side to make sure that we are now customizing right down to, like I mentioned before, right down to the house size and the orientation and the consumption profile. We're now really custom sizing all these things. That's the first thing. One size doesn't fit all. So the more detailed we get up front, the more work EcoSmart time is spent up front, the easier it is to get through the approvals and the builders, and the entire process becomes better. The second thing is educate the AHJ, the authorities having jurisdiction, the municipalities and utilities, educate them sooner and in advance if possible. So some of the best code officials out there really don't understand how some of these pieces all come together. They don't really understand that designing around a ground source heat pump isn't exactly the same thing as designing around an inefficient other system, right? So we have to make sure that they're properly sizing and accommodating the types of technology that we're introducing here. And the third thing is, and there have admittedly been a few technological changes, the way that we size the solar, for example, even down to the way that we connect the homes to the connection box in the backyard. So we've improved that technology, and as we've gone along, we've made cost improvements to it, and we've made simplicity improvements to it. And the really cool thing from EcoSmart standpoint, and probably from the homeowners as well, is we've been able to go back to existing homeowners and introduce some of these improvements just because it was the right thing to do. So yeah, there's been a few things we've learned going forward, and we expect there'll be a few more, but we worked them out.
I just have one question for you before we jump back into the healthy aspect of the community, and Douglas shares some more info with us. But you have a great formula for success. And at some point before we leave today, I want to talk a little bit about the cost to the homeowner. I think maybe we share that a little bit later. But what are your plans as EcoSmart for the future, and how will you take what you're learning here forward to other communities, other homes, either with or without Taurus?
We're doing that already. So that there's not many I can talk about right now, but there are other opportunities we're already developing. We'd like to think we've got a great formula. We'd like to think the formula we have just makes such perfect sense, right? So. And it's not because we're introducing new technology. It's not new technology. We're just packaging a bunch of different components together in such a way that it really makes it easy for the developer to get a vision of energy efficient, net zero capable community development. And it has the builders the ability to step right in and do it. So we don't see ourselves as bringing in this bleeding edge technology. We see ourselves as just enabling the builders and the developers to meet increasingly tough building codes. Building codes are not getting easier. Energy codes are continually getting more difficult, and the more progressive municipalities out there have already changed codes to say, if you want a new development, it has to be carbon neutral. If you want a new development, it needs to be net zero. Those are the type of things that we are positioning for. So we don't think there's much of a charge forward that we're doing. We're just responding to what the industry is turning to, and we know that home buyers are increasingly energy conscious, increasingly cost conscious, increasingly environmentally conscious. We're just providing that capability to them, and as you'll hear as we talk a little bit about the cost, it's being done at a very, very affordable level. So. The program that we have, or the vision I have for our company, is to partner with the developers who have the vision or the need to do this type of development. And of course, then it becomes the builders who are going to buy homes in those developments are going to be wanting to or needing to learn the technology and learn how to wrap it into their process, and that's our formula forward, and it's already going on in a few other select places.
Perfect. That was a great question, Betsy. Thank you. So with that said, we have some more great questions in the audience, and so let's go this. We got Daniel Small. What's happening, Daniel? Thank you for joining us today. GSHP is indeed the most efficient method of heating and cooling, but is very expensive in a single home installation, particularly if retrofit. Building it into the infrastructure is genius and long overdue. Great work. That's a double, Dan. Thank you. Yeah, it is, and we're going to get into that a little bit more. All right, we have Andreas Egger. Does Taurus Whisper Valley demand on monitor sustainability practices down the partner supply chain?
That's a great question, Andreas. Just to be honest, no, it's not something we're completely focused on now. We have a very select set right now of suppliers. As we expand out this platform into multiple other places. We intend to be able to benchmark suppliers against one another. I was very, very used to doing that in the solar industry for many years. That is a great point. And it's not just getting to be sustainable. It's not just building renewable. It's just how are you doing it? So that's a great point that we will be focused on as we move forward. We have a fantastic team at EcoSmart. We have a very, very savvy technology officer who comes to EcoSmart by way of a small company you might have heard of them called Shell Energy. So they are very, very focused on sustainability and be able to benchmark suppliers and trade. So that's something we definitely intend to wrap in. Thanks for that question.
Perfect. All right. So Betsy and I are going to get our faces blocked on this one. We have a little bit of a book. So let's put it up here from Todd Usher. How are you addressing the potential for the changing climate to affect the load capacity of the geothermal loops in the future? I am aware of an 8-year-old flagship zero energy ready commercial building in climate zone 3 that has lost capacity for cooling due to warmer earth temps and milder winters.
I guess that's a tough question. So leave Todd's question up there if you don't mind, because that's a great question. Actually, I wish my technology officer were here to help me answer this. But let's just say that we are designing very carefully, very cautiously. So we're not just saying what is the minimum that we need to do to meet the heating and cooling loads of these buildings. So I mentioned before, geothermal works on a vast amount of the geography of the United States and around the world. There are places where you need to pay much closer attention to your heating load versus your cooling load, and we tend to stay very, very conservative the way that we're designing it. So we also design, and I am virtually certain that the building you're talking about probably couldn't have done this or didn't do this, but we design as needed or where needed supplemental cooling into the shared infrastructure to go ahead and force if temperatures rise too much and the water temperature rises, we're actually able to do supplemental cooling of the infrastructure itself, not in every individual home, but actually of the community infrastructure. It's a great question.
Yeah, thank you so much for that one. Love it. All right, we're going to YouTube now. We have Scott Saddam. Geothermal looks like such a no-brainer. Why has it taken so long to catch on?
It hasn't taken a long time to catch on. It's only taken a long time to become affordable. It's been a go-to technology. I mentioned a few times. This is not new. This is not innovative geothermal. That's old. That works. Heat exchange is heat exchange, right? So it's bringing it to mass development that Taurus and Douglas had this vision to do is what's new. It's crazy how game-changing this can be, bringing this phenomenal geothermal technology to the masses, meaning masses in terms of affordability, but then again, not just the geothermal. You have to package it with the solar and the monitoring capabilities and the smart home features in order to get that truly net zero capable. But the technology's been around a long time. It's just now becoming affordable for big communities.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so we're gonna take 2 more quick questions, and then we're gonna get back to our presentation. That sound all right to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Perfect.
Peter Dennehy writes, what is the average additional cost per dwelling for the inclusion of geothermal and solar at WV?
That's a great question. And the answer is, I'll give you a straightforward answer, but the answer is it varies a little bit. So it costs, the entire package costs somewhere between $25,000 and $40,000. That's including the geothermal infrastructure. It's including the heat pump, which is replacing your other HVAC system. It's including the solar package, which we're buying down at extremely good rates because we're buying in such bulk. It includes all the monitoring. It's an inclusive package. So the cool thing about that question, Peter, is nobody's plunking that down up front, right? The developer's not plunking anything down. They're making a vision of what they want to do with their piece of dirt. The builders are incurring a cost that's being passed to a home buyer who is being able to wrap it into their mortgage. So nobody's having to write a check for $25,000 or $40,000. They're actually paying for it over the 30-year life of their mortgage. So the amount of increase that a homeowner, a home buyer at Whisper Valley may see by introducing this EcoSmart package is largely being offset by the savings that they're seeing on a monthly basis. So
Yeah.
It does almost become that no-brainer that somebody else had mentioned before there.
Sure. You know what? That's a good lead up question for this last question in this session. We are going to take more questions, but we need to get back to our presentation here. So here's one last question that was put up by Carrie Langley. Great to hear of your success at Whisper Valley. Have your mortgage lender partners brought you innovative solutions to enhance the value proposition, enhancing affordability and purchasing power?
You know, Dave, I might jump in just a little bit on that answer. We work with our builders quite a bit through the qualifying process. What we're finding is mortgage companies really like green mortgages. They tend to like buyers better who are responsible. They see these green investments as being more as being more responsible. So some of our lenders are actually reducing the interest rates. We're looking at different qualifying standards. So it's a bit of a new step for lenders, but the lenders for our builders have been very supportive and very encouraging.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. All right, everybody. Thank you. So please remember to hit that like and share button right now. Also, if you have more questions, we're going to come back to some more questions here shortly. But for now, we're going to get back into this. So put all your questions in the comments and we will do our best to reach everybody. All right. So now we're going to move into the healthy living part of this conversation with Douglas. Betsy and John, I'm going to put you in the fish tank, so to speak. Betsy, give me a double thumbs up if you can hear when you're in the fish tank, and we'll keep this moving along. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll have you right back in a minute.
Great.
All right. Go ahead, Douglas. Take it away.
Yeah, so what we've been focusing on for a good portion of this presentation is the sustainable part of our overall branding. And we've talked about technology. We've talked about affordability. What we're also finding is that consumers want to live in a healthy environment. So we've done a number of things here in Whisper Valley to address healthy living. So let's go ahead and get into a little bit of that. What has been very popular, and I know when Betsy was here with you, Dave, they actually had the opportunity to visit with some of our residents who are out working in the gardens. People like to know where their food is grown. They like healthy living. They like the fact that they have the option of having that right in their community. So we have a series of our organic gardens throughout the community so that you can be at a community garden very quickly after you leave your home. And so we have volunteers that work in the gardens. We have a full-time farm manager. We have educational programs, and we have a lot of fun just teaching our residents. They harvest it, and all of that food goes to our residents. One of our long-term goals is to literally have enough community to deal with all the demand from our residents. So that's a big reason that they come to Whisper Valley. And we mentioned in the very beginning, Whisper is a 2,000-acre community. But if you look at the green on this particular slide, you'll see our commitment to this open space and healthy living. The number one amenity that consumers generally are looking for is pedestrian trails and the opportunity to be in open space where they can just be closer to nature. So we have a hierarchy of parks throughout the community, and our residents, even though they may have a smaller lot, they're into the parks very quickly with a lot of different activities. And of course, a very traditional meeting place in the community is our community center. We have a resort-style swimming pool. We have a fitness center. We have activity rooms. So a lot of the congregating activities happen at our amenity center. And what would a community be like if we didn't have a dog-friendly policy? So part of our open space is a dog park, and we find that this has been, again, one of the community favorites. And we talk about amenity planning. Most people just want to congregate. They want to be a part of the community. They want to be a part of activities, whether it's a young person or a person who's getting older. So one of the things that we do here at Whisper Valley is we have a full-time lifestyle director. And What's great about having amenities is that we plan activities in those community areas, and lifestyle director and these open spaces, our people get to know each other and they just enjoy the social life.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm going to jump into the video here in 1 second, but I have to say, Douglas, I think the best part when we were out there, that pool was absolutely gorgeous, and having Betsy and Dennis Steigerwald from the Housing Innovation Alliance stand in it during part of our interview was just so much fun. So we do these things, but we have fun when we do them as
Absolutely.
well. So why don't we have Michael Will? We got another video of a resident that lives there, and this resident actually has some experience in energy efficient housing and so forth in the sector. So let me put it up on the screen here, and let's hear what Michael has to say. If we can mute our mics.
Have my finger on the pulse of the housing industry in general, all the way from entry level up to different price points. So
Right.
I would consider myself a housing nerd.
A housing nerd. Well, you know what? I mean, listen, there's so much building science happening in this community with the Google Fiber, right? The geothermal systems. You got all the apps in your house telling you where you're spending energy or not spending energy. So you almost have to be, somewhat educated to really understand what this value is. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for a long time, I thought that technology was unattainable to
Right.
people like me who are still in that entry level home market.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing that you had builders here and developers who were willing to try some new things that they hadn't tried before.
Yeah.
And, it really pays off in the long-term value of your house. And, we look for efficiencies in our products these days, whether they're appliances or now your car.
Right.
And there's no reason that we shouldn't look for those same sort of efficiencies in the biggest single purchase that we're going to make.
Yeah, for sure.
The folks that are attracted by Whisper Valley, they are well researched.
You're muted, Dave.
Can we hear you again?
We have a lot to unpack. Go ahead, Betsy.
Well, I was just going to say, the last thing that we'll do before we kind of talk at the higher level is talk about attainability. And I think, you touched on it a little bit earlier, the package being rolled into the community. And we need to think about, and you've got some really interesting things you're about to share in terms of ways that you're looking at it. But what strikes me in looking, just having been there and looking at the geothermal and the Google Fiber being put in at the beginning of the process, it's pretty common sense in my mind. When you're making a big hole there to do the development, why not put good things in the hole before you put the houses on there, instead of getting the land ready and then digging an individual hole for each house and trying to add it? It just makes common sense. So you've done some great work. I'm excited to see what you've looked at from attainability perspective, and then at a higher level, what benefits people are seeing, whether it's you or the builder or the consumer. And that's kind of where we're going to round your story out today. So just wanted to interject that while I was thinking of it. And we're queued up and ready to go for the attainability piece.
Perfect. Let's do it. All right.
So
Take it away.
Betsy, let's talk about that for a minute, because what we wanted to do here at Whisper, working with EcoSmart, is to make this available, this type of technology available for the first-time home buyer, for the mainstream buyer. And so for us to do that, we wanted to work with production builders, larger builders, regional builders, as well as smaller builders. And so these are builders that are bringing great floor plans in, a variety of floor plans in, and our pricing starts in the low 200s, goes up into the 400. I have to say, one of the things that really is terrific is that the sustainability is affordable. John mentioned earlier the investment, the green investment that our builders are making ranges in that $25,000 to $45,000 range. But that investment is rolled into the mortgage, And in Whisper, the typical average increase in mortgage costs is about $120 to $125 a month. But what we found, and the great win for our consumers, is that there's that much or more in a reduction in their energy bills. So there's a great offset. So we're finding that affordable energy aspect of this, bringing production builders in and helping those builders with this technology, has allowed Whisper Valley to be attainable for the first time buyer and up. Very important to our concept.
Yeah.
So in the planning of the community, affordability again was one of those basic principles. We started with the planned unit development zoning, which allows a great variety of lot products, everything from larger lots to smaller lots, duplex lots, patio homes, multifamily traditional, as well as we're seeing a much larger segment now looking for build to rent. In our planned unit development, we have an affordable housing standard so that at least 10% of the homes are available to our consumers that make 80% of the average median income. And the great thing about the EcoSmart investment is that there's a tax credit so that they can get a tax credit when they put the investment in their home. Also, from an apartment standpoint, we have tax credit type rental homes. So those rental homes are available to people who make 60% of the average median income. So by having those principles going into the planning of the community, we've been able to make it affordable and yet sustainable.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, our lot pricing our home pricing starts in the low 200s. You can see a list of the builders. These are all regional production builders. The homes themselves range from starter homes just over 1,100 square feet to homes up to about 3,100 square feet.
Yeah, perfect. So this was awesome because when we met Kara, Betsy and I were talking with her, and all of a sudden, like, we got to interview Kara. This is somebody that has so much energy, right? And does a lot of planning and works a little bit, not a little bit, works a lot with you on this property, Douglas. Maybe you can just give us a little introduction on Kara real quick, and then we'll play the video.
Yeah, Kara's a special, we call her the soul of the community because she manages our homeowners association. But she's also our lifestyle director, so almost every weekend throughout the year, Kara has something planned, and she has a special relationship with the homeowners. I think you'll see that in this interview.
Yeah, so let's play this, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get into the sustainability part.
We'll mute ourselves and unmute ourselves again.
And they are passionate. We've actually identified them as a new consumer group. Where we're not just looking at them as first-time home buyers or move-up buyers or the dual income, no kids. We're considering them as sustainable activists. So they come in, they know about the system. They know about green energy. Sometimes they know more about green energy than I do. And I'm like, whoa, okay there. Thank you for the education. They want this community to really speak for what they believe in and how they want to live their lives. So again, all aspects. Something that I really believe is changing in the world, and I think you see it with the kind of toothbrush that you buy, or whether or not you have reusable to-go-ware in your car, right? Consumers want to align their purchasing power with their ethical beliefs, right? So this is one of the biggest decisions you can make, is buying a house.
All right, so let's bring John back in for the last segment. We are up and ready to go here. Listen, Kara has so much energy, and she is such a breath of fresh air to be around. I mean, you guys are so lucky to have somebody like that in this community.
We really are. We really are, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, so sustainability, that's where we're headed right now. So let's we're going to keep everybody in for this last segment. Why don't we hop into it?
So, Dave, I'll go ahead and address this particular portion. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about the benefits to the different groups and collaborators here at Whisper Valley. From a developer's point of view, if you're thinking about this, this is a way to move into the sustainable. It will help you as a developer to be more competitive. Our lot sales are very strong. Our house sales are very strong. EcoSmart helped us with the infrastructure. We didn't have to worry as a developer about how to do it. They became our bridge, really, between the land development infrastructure side and the home builder side. So they reduced that upfront cost for us, and they gave us that ability to get rid of that carbon footprint. Let's go ahead. So John also talked about being a partner with the builders. I would tell you again that the builders see the great benefits of becoming an EcoSmart certified builder. Just through being here and being attached to the geogrid and using the ground source heat pump and the technology that EcoSmart is providing, they have very low HERS ratings. They have high performance homes. More and more builders are moving into this space. And if they have to do it by themselves, it's just very expensive to do. But by coming here and working with EcoSmart, it's easier to get into that high performance home at an affordable price. Our builders are selling more houses. This is the real test from a developer's point of view. Is the builder able to increase their business? And what we have found here that they're not only selling more houses, but their margins are better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the builders that we spoke to absolutely love this. And then here's another one. We're going to have Glenn Guillen come back in here.
Great.
Tell us a little bit about the feedback you're getting.
It's been excellent.
Yeah.
Our customers really like it in Whisper Valley. I think the critical thing for us as a home builder has been that our customer cannot find this anywhere else in Austin. So it puts you in a position where you can demonstrate value to the home buyer and not have tons of competition right around the corner or down the street. So once you identify that the customer values healthy living, energy efficiency, they understand the value, long-term value in that, then they really can't buy anywhere else.
Right.
And then it's just a matter of differentiating yourself between the builders that are in the master plan community.
Is there more that you can say?
That pretty much says it all, doesn't it?
Well, it does. It really does, you know, and like you got customer testimonials, homeowners, you know, I mean, you got builder testimonial, and then you two guys are just rocking it. I'm loving it. So, all right, shall we continue?
Yeah, there's one last slide here, and then my favorite part's coming up next, which is a couple of homeowner tidbits.
Yeah.
And I'll try and get that lined up right now.
So Betsy, I can summarize this really easy. We're finding a new class of home buyers that are environmental activists. They want to be friendly to the earth if they can afford it. And what we're seeing here, because of the really low utility bills, our families can afford this type of home. They're living in a very healthy environment. Air is very clean in the homes. There's a lot of comfort in the homes. And one of the things I want to mention, in your traditional production home, especially on smaller lots, you have that outdoor condenser, that air conditioner condenser that sits on that concrete pad, oftentimes by your master bedroom. And it's loud. Every time it turns on, you have to talk a little bit louder. We have no noise pollution here. There is no outdoor condenser. You just have the ground source heat pump, which is in the attic. So our consumers are enjoying it. John also mentioned that we have a monitoring system that really looks at the performance of the homes on a 24/7 basis, and our consumers are interested in knowing about their energy behavior. And finally, I would just tell you that the resale value of these homes is great. Consumers knowing that they can come into a really low energy cost home, very efficient home in a planned community, they get really excited about buying these homes.
Yeah, for sure. And I know we're gonna jump into another consumer here thing in just 1 second, but I really, if I could interject, I did hear noise. I heard birds, and I heard kids playing and what have you. But the reality of it is, it's a culture change that's happening in your community with the community members. And I think that's what's so amazing about the community. It's not that you just did a wonderful, great thing, sustainability, affordability, right? But there's also that consumer mindset where, you know, they're really all living and pulling in the same direction. And it's changing the culture of how people look at how they live in their homes, right?
Well, it really is, Dave. And you know, we like to say that here at Whisper, you can actually do that. You can whisper and hear each other. So,
Dave, one of the things I was going to mention before, I did mention before that we're actually, you know, again, we don't feel like EcoSmart is carving out, you know, new ground here. We're providing what the homeowners are increasingly going to ask for. The way we envision this is, there may be a master plan community out there that says, you know what, I'm going to make a niche there. I'm going to make a phase for those people who want this. And this is exactly what Douglas is talking about. We've created the entire ecosystem here at Whisper Valley, but the intent is it could work elsewhere. It could work in many different places. So if you have that consumer looking for something that says, I want to live in a phase where I am eco-friendly, I am earth-friendly, I am energy conscious. That's what we as a partnership are doing.
Yeah, very, very much so. Very much so. All right. Our next homeowner is what we're hopping into, right, Betsy?
Yep, and that's actually the last thing before we open up for any final questions that we've got going on here. But some really great personalities, and I think they do a fantastic job of kind of explaining what you guys do. And I think as you listen to it, also think about the fact that we are in a work anywhere environment now. A lot of us are working from home. So if you're thinking about, well, maybe they wouldn't want to be in Austin, Texas, well, they can be anywhere they want to be. So if you're looking at developing these communities, you have to think about the fact that people can pretty much move and work from anywhere they want to. And I think they articulated that really well. One thing we asked them, which had some really funny results, which you'll see, is what would they do if they had to move? They did not like that prospect at all. But I'll let them speak for themselves.
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't standing. I'm glad I wasn't standing between them on this one. So, which is great. All right, let's jump into it here. Mute your mics, everyone. You know, if you had to leave here, you get transferred. I mean, what would you want? You know, if you had to leave here, you get transferred. I mean, what would you want from this community in the next place you live? You know, because there's not a lot of these communities out there yet.
I think it would be tough to leave a community that's really tech enabled, and by that I mean, you know, our home and our community allows us to make smarter choices. You know, from the way that all of our systems are integrated with Google Fiber and Nest and all the home equipment, to you know, the savings we've been able to take advantage of and knowing when to take advantage of solar energy, you know, to the significant tax credits that we've been able to take advantage of. I think it'll be really tough to leave all those things that we've gotten really used to here.
We would see if they do it something similar, but this is so innovative. I think it'll be hard to find a comparative community, and it's just the start, really. We're really anticipating what this place will look like in 5 years as we have more neighborhoods pop up, as we have more amenities pop up, as we have businesses that will grow right next to us. So we're excited to see where this is going.
Yeah.
But to answer my husband's question, no, we wouldn't be able to leave because we chose this neighborhood on purpose.
Right.
We searched the country, we searched the state of Texas, and we picked our neighborhood first, and then we found jobs.
Right.
And so we know that this neighborhood is set apart and special and separate from all the other neighborhoods across the country. And so we chose to live here. We're not going anywhere.
All right, you got that, Eric? You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're gonna make it work.
I love it. So what's so great about those two, let me shut this off here, is, so he's a principal, she's a doctor. So we listen, and they know what they want, and we definitely know who's in charge on that one. I mean, that was the end of that conversation. I love it. You should be proud of yourself to have people so happy. In fact, I see a comment from somebody that was in your community. So why don't we take a look at that and hop into the final questions? Mallory Tomset, as a recent resident of Whisper Valley, thank you so very much for doing these video conferences. It's so cool learning even more about our community. I especially love working in the organic gardens here. There's so much fresh produce. It was also nice to meet you the other day, Beth. Love it. I mean, that's more testimonial. Perfect. All right. Robert Seaman would love to discuss how many companies can use new tech that is eco-friendly and non-toxic to make homes resistant to fire, mold, rot, decay, and insect damage. Rule of thumb, cost to protect the entire wood package of a 2,000 square foot new building is only $3,000, and it comes with a full warranty at no additional charge. I'm not sure who that was from. Robert Seaman. Anthony Good says, it takes a level of sophistication to retain any control. And our last comment is from Jenny Millman. Home buyers tend to have a budget. It seems like perhaps eco isn't driving a willingness to pay more versus existing budget. Instead, perhaps they choose sustainable over a different benefit, bigger home. What makes WV great is the appeal to the lifestyle versus a demographic.
That's a good call.
That is a very good call. That is a very good call. Well, hey, listen, as Betsy says, that's all, folks.
Well, thanks, guys. And if you want to hear more about ideas for the future of home delivery, join us on the 10th and 11th, where we'll have other experts on to share insights. And we'll have a future of home delivery panel. Douglas will be on with McKinsey and Ram Real Estate Capital and Zonda, which should be quite interesting to kick things off. But thank you guys so much for inviting us into your community a couple weeks ago and for sharing your story with us today. And it's really inspiring. And I think, you're creating a blueprint that hopefully will be shared and adopted by others. I know I left there thinking, I don't want to live in Texas, but where can I find this something near me?
Well, and you know what? I did as well. You guys have done something really amazing. I travel this country meeting with people that are doing innovative things on a regular basis, developers, builders, manufacturers. And what you pulled off there is nothing short in my mind of a miracle. And the fact that the residents and the builders speak so highly of you. And that was only a couple of the builders. We spoke with several builders. All of them loved what you guys have done. So any parting words, John, Douglas?
Yeah, I'm going to speak while Douglas is getting off of mute here quickly, but we're happy to be partnering with Douglas and his team. And again, just repeat that we try to make it so easy for the builders that it's not innovative. It's just something that just makes sense. So some of the questions from the comments from the homeowners and the people who are interested in things like that, in something like this, just makes so much sense. It is a choice. It's a selection. You're choosing a lifestyle. You're not just matching a demographic. And it's that couldn't have said it better. But I want to thank you guys for your time as well. It was actually quite fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. Go ahead, Douglas.
Yeah. Well, Dave, both you and Betsy, it was such a pleasure to have you guys here. The topic today was communities of the future. We feel like we're entering in that stage now. It's been a fun journey, and you guys made it very pleasurable to tell our stories.
You're very welcome. All right, Betsy, I'm going to let you take us out. You got any final parting words on your end, or is that a wrap?
I think it's a wrap, and hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
Everybody take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Dave Cooper, DaveCooper.live, and working with the Housing Innovation Alliance. We are always bringing you innovative, collaborative solutions. And as you can see, we are bringing the best in the industry to share their knowledge and information with you. So that's it, everybody. I'm Dave Cooper. We will see you next time. Bye, everybody.